Hey, today we're talking about anxiety. Just like everybody else, I have my fair share of worry and sadness and anxiety, but over the years I've worked really hard to build a better brain, and these days I am much better able to cope with anxious thoughts and challenges when they come up. So what I wanted to do today is share with you what I've done to hopefully help you out when you are dealing with your own anxiety. Now, what are we doing talking about anxiety on a fitness and nutrition channel? Well, first of all, everyone experiences anxiety at some level, and I think that the better able you are to manage that, the better able you are going to be to achieve your other goals, like your fitness and nutrition goals. However, I also wanted to film this video because a couple years ago I released a video about supplements for anxiety, and it's been one of my most popular videos ever. And I've always wanted to do a follow-up video because, of course, when you're managing anxiety, supplements can be super helpful, especially in acute situations when the anxiety is really high. Using herbs like passion flower and valerian to help even you out and help you deal with situations can be very powerful. So I think that supplements are definitely an important thing to consider, but it's also very important that you are working on your mind if you're dealing with anxiety. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And just before we get started, I wanted to remind you that if you are really struggling, then it's important that you reach out and talk to somebody, whether that's a friend or a family member or a therapist. Make sure you reach out and get some help. And then also, I wanted to say that in that previous video about supplements for anxiety, there were so many comments there that were helpful, not just to me, but to others as well. So as you're watching this video, if you have an idea that you want to share with others, if there's something that has helped you manage your anxiety, please leave a message in the comments because you will be helping others and we would love to hear from you there. The first thing I wanted to talk about is mindfulness, because when you start looking into how to manage anxiety, you're going to hear a lot about mindfulness. And to be honest, over the years, I tried various mindfulness strategies, but nothing really stuck. So today I wanted to share with you what has actually worked for me. The idea of mindfulness is that we tend to spend too much time either worrying about the future or living in the past, and that creates anxiety. Mindfulness encourages us to be more present and to more calmly observe our thoughts and how our body feels. And as I said, I've tried different mindfulness techniques and nothing has really stuck. But then one day I read an analogy about an hourglass, and for some reason this has really helped me. So I wanted to share it with you today in case it helps you as well. And I'm sorry I can't remember where I read this, otherwise I would share it, but I'll do my best to explain it as I remember it. So the hourglass symbolizes time, the past, the present, and the future. The grains that have slipped through represent the past, which we can never get back, and the top of the hourglass is the future to come. The only real moment that we have is the center. And so the question to ask yourself is, where are you spending your time? Are you missing out on that fleeting moment that is slipping through the center of the hourglass? And I don't know why this has worked so well for me, maybe because it's just a simple idea and it's really easy to call it to mind. But after I learned about it, I would find that I would catch myself more and be better able to pull myself back into the present, because I would think about where am I spending my time right now and pull myself back into whatever was going on around me in that moment. And I don't know if this is going to work for you, but one thing that I do know is that if you are dealing with anxiety, it's very important that you are working on your mind. In some way, you have to start taking more control over the thoughts that you have. You have to start being more selective about the thoughts that you pay attention to, and mindfulness is one part of that. Over the years, I've done so much more work, which has probably also helped me be able to be more present. So what I want to do now is talk to you about a few more other things that I've done that have helped me a lot. So the second thing I wanted to get into is the idea of training your mind. So this is something that I've come up with probably because I'm a personal trainer and I know the value of training your body. But what I've also learned over the years is that training your body definitely helps build a stronger mind. So it is really possible to also build your mind. And in fact, I think they go hand in hand. I think it's really important for anybody, even if you're not somebody that suffers with a lot of anxiety, to constantly be training your mind to think better and to just work better for you. And one of the ways that I've done this, which is something that everybody can do, is to listen to motivating speakers, mainly on YouTube. I started doing this when I was going through a really difficult time in my life. I started doing something that I called Walks with Eddie. Eddie refers to Eddie Pinero. He's a YouTuber that has a lot of motivating videos, and in a really tough time of my life, I started going for walks every day, and I would just plug in a video from Eddie and listen to it as I walked. And for me, it was just a way to find hope in a really tough time, but it also meant that I felt less alone. And I did that for at least a year. I did these walks with Eddie where I just really tried to turn around how I was thinking and find some hope in everything I was going through. And this made such a huge difference to how I came through that time of my life. These days I don't listen to him as much anymore because I've sort of outgrown his ideas and I've moved on to slightly more harder core motivating videos. But I think that this is a really easy strategy that most people can implement. You can listen to them when you're going for walks. You can listen to them at the gym. You can listen to them while you're doing housework. The other part of training my mind is that I read a lot of books, and I didn't read books that focused on analyzing your past or your childhood, sort of the more traditional psychology type books. Instead, I found books that gave me hope and challenged the way that I was thinking. And you might think that you don't have time to read books, but everybody has time for this. You can do this first thing in the morning before you get out of bed, instead of reaching for your phone and scrolling through social media, which is terrible for your brain and terrible for anxiety. You can do it again before bed. And you can also listen to audiobooks. You can, again, listen to audiobooks when you're doing housework. You can listen to them when you're commuting. And then you have all these points throughout the day where you're training your mind, where you're starting to learn how to think better, where you're exposing yourself to new ideas. And I think this is so important no matter what stage you're at with your anxiety and with your life. You need to be breaking the patterns that we get stuck in with our thinking, and reading books and listening to YouTube videos is a great way to do that throughout your day. The third thing that I wanted to talk about is controlling what you can control. So when you are dealing with anxiety, you can experience a lot of overwhelm. And one of the places that we can control what's going on is our homes, our rooms, if we don't have a whole house to ourselves. So I wanted to introduce this idea today. This has been really important for me, possibly because I grew up with a mother who worked really hard to keep our house tidy and to create a cozy environment. Even as adults, when we would go stay with her, she always wanted to make sure our room felt really cozy. And for me, the idea of having a cozy home is just so important for my mental well-being. And having it be tidy and organized is just so key for me. There's a Canadian psychologist called Jordan Peterson who talks about this idea. He believes in the importance of having an orderly home and daily life. And he says that it's important that we don't have any more stupid pain around us than necessary. And stupid pain, that's his words. The idea is that in our daily life, we can walk past hundreds of things in our home that annoy us throughout the day. It might be little piles of receipts. It might be some dust that you've been meaning to take care of. It might be just, you know, a little mess somewhere in the corner that you've been thinking, I really must tidy that up. And he says throughout the day we walk past so many of these things, and if we only took the time to clean them up, it would make a really big difference to how we feel mentally. And rather than going out and trying to change the world or control other people, he encourages us to start where we can start. And that's in our own homes, in our daily lives, in the things that we go past every day. He says if you clean those up, then you're going to feel so much better mentally. And this is definitely true for me. I know that on the really stressful days, I have this drive to actually clean my house. Sometimes if I know I'm going to have a really big stressful day of work, I'll actually tidy it up before I go into that day, because I know that at the end of the day, I'm going to feel so much better when things are in order. I think this is also really relevant if you're somebody who has social anxiety, or if you're an introvert like me, because when introverts go out into the world, we can get really overwhelmed, and having a cozy, tidy house to come home to can make all the difference, and it's just so much better for us to relax and recover. And I'm not talking about being obsessive. Believe me, my house could be a lot cleaner, but this is something that has really helped me, just having a really cozy, safe haven where I feel good. It makes a big difference to my mental well-being. So those are some of the ways that I've been better able to take control of how I've been thinking, and I think that it's made such a big difference to how I now manage challenges in my life. Remember, leave a message in the comments if you've got something that might help others. We'd love to hear from you there. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe so you catch future videos from me. If you're interested in hearing more about mindset and all of those sorts of things, I would be happy to do more videos, so also let me know that in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.